Alright everybody, what's going on? It's Thundershot and welcome to the WWE WrestleMania 32 2016, whatever you want to call it, recap and review done by yours truly. Actually, give me 1 second. I wanted to attempt to improve the lighting a little bit. I don't know if I made it better or worse, but it's here to stay. Anyways, welcome to the WWE 2016 WrestleMania 32 recap and review video. What we got going on for you guys today is just going to be me. If you're just here, I'm just going to be recapping it, giving my thoughts and my opinions. A lot of people, general consensus on Twitter told me, main event aside, perhaps, because that's really controversial. Main event aside, perhaps, this WrestleMania was actually really, really good. It was really good with a bunch of endings that didn't make any sense that people didn't like. So, like, endings aside, the match was really good. And it's kind of got the same feel that... It wasn't Rumble. Whatever the last pay-per-view was. Madison Square Garden, maybe. Kind of got the same feel of Fastlane, even. It's got the same feel of Fastlane, almost to the point where... a lot of people really like the matches and things that happen. A lot of people really like what happened in the matches, but then they didn't necessarily like the way that it turned out. But I would say it's a little bit different from that. I'm going to get into it. I'll go match by match on it. I would say it's different, but in a really good way. In a way that Fastlane was good matches, bad endings, and it was bad. This is good matches, non-favorable endings that might be a good thing. And I'll explain why. Here we go. I'm just going to go to the list. I did miss the pre-show. I was busy. I had to go pick up my girlfriend from work. Then we were going to the WrestleMania party, but she didn't get off work until 5 or 6. She didn't get off work until 5. I didn't get to the party until 6, so I missed the pre-show stuff. I will go back and look at that later, but to get this video out as soon as possible. I did not watch pre-show stuff, so we had Kalisto versus Ryback for the United States Championship. That match lasted just under 9 minutes. And Kalisto beat Ryback. I think that's really cool. I want to go back and see how Kalisto beat Ryback. I know Kalisto's beat Ryback in surprise victories before. I'm sure that match was really good. I like heel Ryback. I like Kalisto and what he's doing with the U.S. title. Don't know why this match wasn't on the main card, but it is what it is. And I'll go back and watch that one later. I don't really have an opinion on it other than the outcome is favorable. The next one was the 10 Diva Tag Match. Don't give a lot of shits about this one, to be completely honest. All I know is the good team defeated the bad team. And apparently, Lana looked good. That's all I can relate. That's all I've been confirmed on that one, is that that's pretty much the good team beat the bad team and Lana looked good. And then ended with a submission. I don't even know who made who tap out, to be honest. I was trying to keep an eye on Twitter for the matches I was missing, but I did not see a lot on the Divas match, so I don't know. All right, now we come over to, wow, this was another pre-show match. The Usos beat the Dudley Boyz in a regular tag team match. Tables weren't involved. This match went 5 minutes. The 10 Diva match, by the way, went 11 minutes. So it went just longer than the singles match between Ryback and Kalisto. And then the tag match only lasted 5 minutes, 18 seconds. Usos beat the Dudley Boyz. Not going to lie, I don't care a whole lot about that one. I get it. The Dudley Boyz are trying to be heel. I don't know why necessarily. They're keeping the Usos out of the tag picture for reasons I'll probably talk about later, or for reasons I think I'll probably talk about later. The Usos haven't had that fire since whichever one was injured. I don't know off the top of my head. Whichever twin was injured, came back from injury. They've been flat. I don't know what it is. They had a whole lot of hype, and then one of them got injured, and then now they came back, and it's just kind of died. They're just kind of doing same old, same old. We get it. You suicide dive, you frog splash, you throw super kicks, give me other stuff, I guess. I'm not sure what it is, but they need some kind of spark. The Usos need something to propel them forward, and it's not going back to the tag titles yet. Maybe eventually, but there's something missing with them that I hope we can get back, because they were really good before, and they're meh now, and I don't know what's going on with the Dudley Boyz. It's weird, but I hope they figure it out soon. Now we come to the matches that I actually made it in time for. I got to see the package for this. I made it to my friend's house for the party, and we were good to go. We had Kevin Owens defending his Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match against Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Sin Cara, Stardust, The Miz, and Zack Ryder, all in one hellacious ladder match, gunning for that Intercontinental Championship. And this match was freaking awesome. And it's been so long since I've looked at a match. I've been like, you know what? That match was freaking awesome. Start to finish. I personally love the ending. I'll talk about that in a minute. A lot of cool spots in that one. A lot of people flying off ladders, going through ladders. Good ladder hits, good ladder moves. Kevin Owens taking insane bumps on ladders and splashing people on ladders. It was a good ladder match. A lot of high spots, a lot of good stuff happening. They really made the match work. And then just at the end, when you think The Miz is going to win it because he's soaking it in and sitting down, Zack Ryder comes out of nowhere. And this has kind of been set up. If you've been watching SmackDown a little bit, you had that faint vibe that maybe this could happen. And if you haven't been watching SmackDown, I myself just started watching it again over the last couple weeks. It's really, it's good again. It's good again. I know what you mean. A lot of people look at me like, oh, what, SmackDown still exists? What's going on with that? But I saw SmackDown a couple weeks ago. And the reason it got better, by the way, is because NXT's head writer moved up to SmackDown, and he's now writing for SmackDown. They've also got a really good up-and-coming commentator there that just, he actually calls moves. Like, it's so weird to be watching a wrestling show on WWE WWE stuff where they're actually calling moves and telling you what's going on. Granted, I don't watch NXT as much as I should, but it beats Raw so badly. I'm not saying SmackDown's better than Raw. I'm saying the commentating beats Raw so badly because they know what's going on. They're talking about the moves. They're talking about the match. They're not talking about when John Cena's coming back or some other random bullshit. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. SmackDown's good. But anyway, there was a big feud between all 7 of these guys in SmackDown where they were all out in the ring hitting their finishers on each other the other week. Kevin Owens powerbombed Sami Zayn or someone like that, and then Zack Ryder came out and hit Kevin Owens with a Rough Rider, and he was standing tall after that. So SmackDown kind of alluded that this was possible, and I wanted it to happen so badly because Zack Ryder is that guy who for the past 5+ years, he did something with Cena. He got buried by Cena. After that, the past 5+ years, he has been either not on the main card at all on the main roster, or when he's booked, he's just out there to be another jobber. He's just out there to lose to some new guy showing up to kick his ass. He's just out there to lose the match or be an extra body in a battle royal or be an extra body in a 6-man tag, and then he just gets pinned. And he's been doing this for years. He went back to NXT to kind of gather himself again, do the hype bros thing, and just have something going on for him there. But for 5 years, and he still comes back. This is the thing, is every time they brought him back, in the past 5+ years, he's just been doing nothing but either nothing or losing is all he's been doing. They still bring him back. He still does the woo thing, and people still wooed. People still loved Ryder. Ryder was over. WWE didn't want Ryder to be over, and for the longest time, they're just like, no, people still don't like Zack Ryder. That's not a thing, and people have been loving Zack Ryder for so long, and he kind of came out, and this was an Owens and Sami Zayn and maybe a Dolph Ziggler thing, and then all of a sudden, Zack Ryder comes out of nowhere and wins the Intercontinental title, and no one has been putting more work in and not getting anything for it, I feel like, in the past 5+ years than Zack Ryder. It's absolutely, I was really happy with that match. I was really thrilled with the way it went. If you haven't seen that match, go watch it. Might be match of the night for me. Probably is match. It's tough. Probably is match of the night for me. Next match, we have Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles. Singles match. Pretty good. Kind of sloppy in certain parts, considering that it's Jericho and AJ and they're seasoned and they've had great matches before. It was kind of weird. Just a couple like hiccups that you can see here and there. Overall, not a bad match by any means. A lot of people are upset. Chris Jericho beat AJ Styles. And this was a surprise. This was a surprise because a lot of people were expecting AJ to win. Myself, I would have bet 90%. I would have been 90% sure AJ Styles was going to win that match. Probably 95% plus percent sure AJ Styles was going to win that match. Reasoning is because Jericho does this shit all the time. He's got Fozzy. We know he's got Fozzy. We know he does Fozzy stuff. So Jericho comes back. He'll win a couple matches. He'll put a couple guys over. He'll have a big feud with somebody. He'll lose a match to them like he did with Fandango, like he did with Ziggler, like he's done with everybody. He might beat him in a match, but then he'll lose in a match to them on a big stage like WrestleMania, and then he'll leave after that. After he loses the match, he leaves to go back and do Fozzy stuff, having just put a new guy over and having him on the up and coming. It works out really good for everyone except people who like Chris Jericho, like myself, for example. So people were super upset because they want to see AJ get propelled. They want to see AJ move forward, and everybody thinking Jericho was going to win this match. Everyone thinking AJ was going to win this match. Jericho won it, and a lot of people on Twitter were upset. What are you going to do? How can you do that to AJ? How is that bringing him up? We already know Jericho's established. And you got to remember a couple things, mainly being Vince is self-conscious about his penis size. And what I mean by that is, think of Sting, okay? Think of Sting. They brought Sting in. They made Sting a big deal. They put him up against Triple H at WrestleMania. He loses. It's the same thing with AJ in the regard that it speaks poorly of WWE, and a lot of people are going to be like, that's just WWE pride and it's stupid. And you're not wrong. It's your opinion. It is what it is. But think about it like this from Vince's perspective. This new guy who's never been in WWE, he's traveled the world, he's done all this crazy other stuff, but who's never been in WWE, comes into WWE, takes on a legend. I mean, Chris Jericho, think of all the stuff he's done, takes out a great of the WWE and beats him on the grandest stage of them all, beats him on Mania. That's saying that the other what am I trying to say? The other corporations, the other wrestling industries that aren't WWE, going to those programs, going to those promotions, is better than WWE. This guy who got experienced elsewhere is going to come in here and be better than WWE. It's the same reason Sting lost. This guy who is WCW's golden boy cannot come in and beat WWE. That's saying WWE is inferior to that. So in the same way that Vince is flexing his dick in the Sting match, he flexes it here again, saying, yes, AJ Styles is good, but he is not better than the WWE. Not right off the bat like that. I'm sure AJ is going to get title shots. I'm sure AJ is going to go forward greatly, but losing in WrestleMania to Chris Jericho makes more sense for the company in the terms of he's good, but he's not better than us yet. He's becoming us. He is us, but what he learned out there, it's not as good as us. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point, is just to say WWE is king. He's not better than us yet, right? And granted, it's going to be different now. Like I said, AJ's on the up and coming, and he's going to go places with that. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset with that, but what this also could mean is maybe Jericho hangs around for a bit longer, which I would be cool with. Just stop putting him in matches with AJ. That feud's happened. It's done. I know a lot of people, to go back to my other point, are going to be like, oh, a Thundershot, but AJ already beat Jericho. Yes, but this was the best 2 out of 3. Jericho beat him on the first one, if I recall. AJ beat him on the second one. They might have had a couple more matches, Raw and SmackDown and other stuff like that. But then Jericho picks up the ultimate victory in Mania. This was the important one. If any of them were important ones, it would have been the very first one, or it would have been this one. And Jericho won both those. So yeah, I'm gonna move forward from that. I know a lot of people are upset at the AJ match. I don't think this is gonna hurt AJ any. I think AJ still looks awesome. People are still gonna love AJ. He's still gonna get title shots. He's gonna move forward. It's gonna be okay. And I'm gonna come back to this match at the end of the card as kind of a recap, because this match brings up a really good point. Actually, I'll talk about it right now. So a lot of people in this match, and I'll go over it more as we go through the card, I heard 2 answers that people didn't like. Either 1, the ending was too predictable, or 2, the ending was trash. And what that means is the people that I wanted to win didn't win. Because when the ending is somebody that you don't want to win, wins, for example, I didn't want Charlotte to win the Divas Championship, but she won it anyway, that's trash. If the ending is something that doesn't blow you away, or something that doesn't come out of nowhere and surprise you, like Roman Reigns winning the championship, well, then it's too predictable. So, you see the point I'm trying to get at here? Here, let me go down the list real quick. People thought AJ was going to win. People wanted AJ to win the Chris Jericho-AJ match. People thought AJ was going to win. He didn't win? Oh, well, now that ending's trash. You know what I mean? Because the guy who I wanted to win, who we thought was going to win, didn't win. That ending's trash. Then we go down to the Roman Reigns match. Spoilers for that one when I get to it later. Roman Reigns beats Triple H. People thought Roman were going to win. People didn't want Roman to win. Roman wins. Oh, well, that ending's too predictable. Same thing with New Day. It's the next match we're going to talk about. It's a good segue into it. The League of Nations versus the New Day. People liked the New Day. People wanted the New Day to win. People thought the New Day were going to win. The New Day doesn't win. Oh, well, that ending's trash. But if people thought the League of Nations were going to win, then the ending would have been too predictable, because they don't like the League of Nations, because they don't want it. So it's like, either pick if you want, do you want predictability, or do you want, it's tough. That's what it boiled down to. It was just funny to me because I was reading Twitter, and there was a tweet that I actually saw, multiple ones, that just said the endings were either predictable or bad, or bad. Bad meaning, again, just to kind of break it down, bad meaning the person that we thought was going to win that I didn't want to win won, so it was predictable, or bad meaning the person that I wanted to win was going to win, but then didn't, so it's trash. You know, like, there's just no winning in that regard when you use that logic. But I'm going to move on to the next. Match. We have the League of Nations versus the New Day, and like I said before, the League of Nations actually won this. It was kind of a surprise. I wasn't huge on the match. It was really cool that the New Day came out dressed up as Saiyans. They came out in Saiyan armor. Xavier's hair was spiked up like Vegeta's. They came out of a giant 20-foot box of Bootios, and that was badass. And I'm pretty sure they were just a bunch of glazed donuts meant to look like giant Cheerios, which is cool. I wish one of them just would have picked it up and started eating it, but it didn't happen. And they go down there, and they're all geared up and ready to go, and the League of Nations are jobbers, and they're going to come out, and they're going to just beat the League of Nations to move them forward, and they didn't. And I think the League of Nations are tag champs now. They didn't make a whole lot of emphasis on the tag titles, but the New Day lost, and everyone was like, what the fuck is going on with that? But it was something unpredictable that you didn't see coming. Sure, people you think are boring and don't like won the match, but if heels lost every match, or if people you didn't like lost every match, the WWE wouldn't be exciting. You would know who was going to win before it happened. So it was something unpredictable. It's not good for New Day, but I don't think it hurts them. And I'm going to come back to how the tag titles affect this and why this isn't the worst thing in the world in a minute. I know a lot of people love their New Day. I myself love my New Day, but I'm not super upset they lost the titles, and I'll explain that in a second. I'll explain my prediction for that in a second. What follows the tag match was the League of Nations talking mad smack in the ring, saying we're a 4-man team, no team of 3 can defeat us, which is not something to brag about, by the way. You have 4 dudes out there, so you should be able to beat any team of 3. When all of a sudden the greatest team of 3 of all time comes out from the back, you hear Shawn Michaels' music, and he comes out in gear. I was so hyped. I was so excited to see Shawn Michaels come out in gear. Shawn Michaels, in case you don't know, in case you're new to wrestling, is hands down the greatest wrestler of all time, and that's non-debatable. Followed by Mick Foley, who comes out with Shawn Michaels, and then the Stone Cold glass breaks. And it was absolutely beautiful as the 3 of these guys walked down to the ring and just beat the shit out of the League of Nations, and then Stone Cold stunners Xavier Woods and just starts passing beer around everyone. It was glorious. Shawn came out in ring gear, and I was floored. He looked fucking awesome. Shawn could come back and go another damn year if he wanted to. I did not expect that at all, because the last couple times we've seen Shawn, he's out there in the cowboy boots and jeans and a scraggly beard, and he looks skinny with a big t-shirt on and his hat, and he just looks skinny. He he just looked like he was getting old, bottom line, and he is getting old. That's what he should look like. But I didn't even know if he could pick his leg up to super kick guys anymore from the last couple times we've seen him. But he came out in gear, and he looked fucking great, and he super kicked the shit out of a couple guys. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Wade Barrett, they gave Wade Barrett a really good going away present. In case you guys don't know, Wade Barrett doesn't plan to renew his contract, which is up soon, and they beat the shit out of him for it. It was beautiful. And then Xavier Woods came in and made Stone Cold dance to the New Day music. So Stone Cold gave him a stunner and then gave everybody else beers. It was awesome. It was really cool to see the Legends come back. There's a lot of debate in this. I see a lot of debate. It was either seeing the Legends come back was the greatest thing in the world, and it was super cool to see those guys, or why are the Legends beating up the new guys? We're supposed to like the new guys. Legends shouldn't be here. And there's definitely a middle ground here, and I don't think that this particular scenario crossed any kind of lines or anything. I think the Legends coming out was awesome. I'm super glad it happened. I'm still going to love the New Day tomorrow. That didn't change anything about that. So it doesn't bother me at all if the Legends came out. I think it was super cool. I'm glad it happened. Obviously, you can overdo it. Obviously, Legends burying talent is a bad thing in a lot of cases, but I think it was done really well here. Now, to talk about the tag titles and to talk about why the New Day losing the tag team championship wasn't the worst thing in the world is they just kind of tried to turn the New Day face. A lot of people liked the New Day, even though they weren't supposed to when the New Day were being heels and making fun of everybody, and they just kind of turned the New Day face with this League of Nations thing. However, at the same time, there's a particular tag team in NXT that's getting over fucking great as faces, who might be ready to up and come and have a match with somebody or something. You know what I mean? So maybe it would be better as if they were to go for the tag team titles, if the tag team championship holders weren't faces. Are you hearing what I'm getting at? Enzo Amore and Big Cass have been rumored to be coming up to the main roster for a while now. They've even been going to house shows and having just house shows matches that they don't televise, shows that they don't televise, Raw shows essentially that they don't televise. They've been going to house shows with the main roster. They just haven't actually been on the main show yet. They've even had a match. They had a match for the tag titles at Live at Madison Square Garden on the WWE Network with that NXT group that has the tag championships. I'm not caught up on NXT. I don't know their names, but I know they're two bald guys. Anyway, hold on, give me a sec. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to get at is that bringing up Enzo and Cass, if they are to feud with somebody who isn't the Dudley Boyz, who I think would kill their hype, or the Usos, who are faces, sort of, so I think that would kill their hype too. If they're going to feud with the tag team championships, they don't want the tag team champions to be the New Day, because then the New Day would probably shit on them, you know what I mean? If it's the League of Nations, if it's people that people already hate, then Enzo and Cass are going to go really, really, really well. So what I'm hoping comes of the New Day losing their tag championships is Enzo and Cass come out of nowhere, and they show up, and they feud with the League of Nations, and Big Cass and Enzo just go crazy, and the crowd's going to get really behind them if that's the case. If that's not the case, they can pull this off. I just don't know how necessarily. I'm trying to think of other tag team faces currently in the WWE, not in NXT, of course, and just not a whole lot's coming to mind. So this is pretty much the one plan I have for the New Day losing their titles here being okay. We'll have to see how it turns out, though. I'm just saying it would be really cool if Enzo and Cass came up, and the New Day losing is a great opportunity for that to happen, so we'll see how it goes. That's why I'm not yet super upset about the New Day not being tag champs, and the League of Nations winning instead. Because hopefully the League of Nations are just kind of passing it along to Enzo and Cass. That would be really cool. Or at least going to have a good feud. They don't have to lose because Enzo and Cass are new. But you get the idea. Let's move on to the next match. I've been rambling on this stuff for way too long. Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus Dean was good, but they named this match a street fight. By the way, if you want match time, since I have them pulled up here, the Intercontinental Ladder match was 15 minutes. Chris Jericho and AJ was 17 minutes. The six-man tag match between New Day and the League of Nations was 10 minutes, and then Lesnar and Dean Ambrose was only 13 minutes, and it was a street fight, and it was Lesnar involved, and the reason they implemented a street fight in this match was because Dean doesn't stand a chance otherwise. Like, to be completely real, Dean versus Lesnar, you just know you're just throwing fresh meat to the wolf when you just say Dean versus Lesnar. The street fight was the element of, oh shit, Dean Ambrose is crazy, he uses weapons a lot, maybe he'll kick the shit out of Lesnar if he gets a hold of the right weapon, like a chainsaw that you cut a guy's legs off with. I still don't understand that. But yeah, so they do a street fight match, but it was short. It kind of, like, the match was good. The 13 minutes that happened was pretty solid, but then the ending was sudden, and it left everybody like, damn, I wish I would have got more out of that match, because that wasn't at all what I was hoping for. And the problem is that there were like 30 chairs. They teased the chainsaw for 20 seconds. They teased Barbie for 20 seconds. There was a couple kendo stick shots and then a fire extinguisher, and that was it. That was it. There was a shitload of chairs, and then there were those things, those other weapons that I just mentioned, and that was the match. It was like 20 seconds of Dean trying to start a chainsaw, and then he got hit, and then like 20 seconds of Dean holding Barbie, and then Barbie never hit anybody. That match should have been 25 minutes, and there should have been blood out the ass. That match could have been a glorious, glorious WrestleMania match. Apparently, they just didn't have the time for it. And I know the WrestleMania ran on super long. It ran on like an hour over, almost an hour over 10 p.m., which is the time it normally ends in my time zone anyway. So, and I guess it's WrestleMania, that's to be expected, but they needed more time with that one. They needed more time to beat the crap out of each other. Barbie needed to hit Lesnar in the head and rip his flesh off, and Lesnar needed to be bleeding. Dean needed to go through tables and a bunch of shit and be bleeding, and it needed to be a blood fest. It needed to be a bloodbath, and they needed to just beat the shit out of each other, and that didn't happen. A lot of German suplexes, kendo stick shots, F5 on the chairs. It was over. It was a good match. If you go back and you watch it, there's more than I just said, obviously. It was good while it lasted, but it needed another 10 minutes, and it needed to get at least another 10 minutes, and it needed to get a shitload more brutal to be anything super good. But it was what it was. I'm upset, but it doesn't kill the night for me. I wish I would have got more out of the Lesnar Ambrose match. And then of course Lesnar wins because Lesnar wins. They're not going to kill his hype yet. They're going to kill his hype someday, but not yet. All right, and then we have Charlotte with Ric Flair on the outside, defending her Divas Championship, now turning into a new Women's Championship, which is a smaller, recolored version of the regular championship, against Brock Lesnar. Oh my God. Against Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. And the match was good. This was one that kind of hit home for me on the ending that I liked Becky, all right? I liked Becky going into this one. I wanted Becky to win. My ultimate goal was, please don't let Charlotte keep the title. No, my ultimate goal, like, if I could have everything I wanted in this match, Becky would win, right? If I don't get everything I want, but it's not the worst ending in the world, Charlotte doesn't win. Meaning, it's okay if Sasha wins too. I would prefer Becky to win. It's okay if Sasha wins for me. I'm not going to be upset at that. Please don't let Charlotte win, right? Charlotte won, but as far as the actual match goes, they kind of just shit on Becky, and she got her spots, and she got her moments, but ultimately, if you're looking at the three of them in the ring, instead of her winning like I wanted, she actually, was clearly looking the worst out of all three as far as hitting moves and doing stuff goes. For example, Becky Lynch enters first, right? She gets her normal entrance. The fire extinguisher shit pops up out of the ground. She's steampunk. She looks around. She does that thing. She's in the ring. Sasha Banks comes out. She gets the girl who actually sings her song to come out live and sing her song. By the way, they didn't auto-tune that, and she sounded awful. But it's okay because the song was saved because Snoop Dogg also rapped in her entrance, which was fucking sweet. And Sasha Banks gets Snoop Dogg and this other girl, and then a shitload of confetti rains down from the heavens in Sasha Banks' colors that she had that evening. So it was absolutely an amazing entrance for Sasha Banks coming out after Becky just did her normal entrance. And then Flair comes out with the Flair robe, and I think she got pyro. I might be wrong on that. With the Flair robe and pyro, so she gets a little bit special treatment in comparison. So Sasha and Flair already look more important than Becky. The match goes on. They all have good spots. They all get good looks. Charlotte doing a moonsault was probably the highlight of the match. Charlotte does a moonsault to the outside to land on Becky and Sasha. That was really cool, especially considering how large Charlotte is. I'm surprised Becky and Sasha weren't killed. And they keep going on with the match, and they're doing the thing. And then the ending, Becky had a couple good exploder suplexes. Sasha Banks hit a lot of bank statements. Charlotte did a finisher. You know that new thing she does where she front flips? I should know the name for this. I really should. I'm a shitlord for not knowing the name for this. But she front flips over them, grab their head, they're on their knees. You know what I'm talking about. Her new finisher. Look it up. She does a double version of that. She hits both of them. I don't even remember what she calls her finisher, to be real. It's something stupid. The Flair Slam. Ric Flair's daughter. I don't know, but she does a double Ric Flair's daughter onto both of them. She grabs both their heads and flips forward. It was cool. It was cool to see that. But then the ending of the match, again, they were just kind of shitting on Becky, which bugs me because I wanted her to win. It went from Sasha Banks putting Becky in the bank statement. You think Becky's going to tap. Charlotte comes in, she throws Sasha Banks out, and then she puts Becky in the figure 8 while Ric Flair rapes Sasha Banks on the outside, not allowing her to get into the ring. So Becky stays in the ring and taps. Becky looks like shit because she went from getting Sasha's move done to her to Charlotte's move done to her to tapping out and Charlotte retaining her title, so Sasha doesn't have to take the pin or tap out for that matter. I didn't like the ending. Match was good. I didn't like the ending in the slightest, but that's the Divas match, and I actually cared about the Divas match this time around, so they're doing something right. Other than no major botches. I mean, maybe one or two. I take that back. There was at least one or two major botches. But as far as Diva goes, that's really good. As far as Divas go, that's really good. All right, so now we're going to move on to match number 9. A lot of fucking matches on this thing. Undertaker versus Shane McMahon. In a Hell in a Cell match, if Shane wins the match, he gains control of Raw and stops the Authority from doing their bullshit. If The Undertaker wins, then he doesn't. If The Undertaker loses, The Undertaker, this would be his last WrestleMania. And the announcers and commentators kept going back and forth on Raws leading up to this on whether or not this was, like, one week they would say it was his last WrestleMania. The other week they would say his career would be over, which are two vastly different things. I know Undertaker does a lot of his shit at WrestleMania, but Undertaker being able to wrestle the rest of the year minus WrestleMania is still way better than The Undertaker retiring. So it was kind of back and forth. But I'm pretty sure if The Undertaker lost, he just couldn't go to WrestleMania anymore, which also would have sucked. So you knew it wasn't going to happen like that, right? But anyway, Shane and Undertaker. Shane is Shane. He's not actually a wrestler. He's been in matches. He's won matches. He was undefeated at WrestleMania until tonight because The Undertaker won, by the way. And it was a good match. It was a good match. There were a lot of weird stuff because Shane, again, is not a wrestler. So some of his selling's weird, and sometimes the move doesn't look exactly like it should. And sometimes he's just doing, what the fuck are you doing, Shane? Just because he doesn't have that whole wrestler vibe, which is to be expected. The only thing I didn't like about this match is, number one, I liked both people. Didn't want either of them to lose. And number two, it's kind of weird with the idea of bringing Shane McMahon in, who was never actually a wrestler in the first place. He's always been more of a businessman, more of the boss's kid, at least when he was 7 years ago. More of the boss's kid, but he would come in and he would do matches when he needed to. And in case you didn't know, Shane McMahon is known for doing the coast-to-coast. He is known for doing elbow drops on people through the table, and he is known for taking a gigantic bump falling off any amount of insane height, which are not bad things to be known for, but he doesn't do much else other than throw punches and kicks, right? But it was weird, the premise of Shane McMahon, who wasn't actually a wrestler 7 years ago when he was doing it, coming back after not wrestling or doing anything like that for 7 years, and then being expected to beat The Undertaker. Just doesn't make any sense in that regard. So if Shane won, I was still going to be a little peeved. I would be fucking thrilled to get the Authority off Raw, because I think they are contributing to the boring factor a billionfold, but Shane winning, I still would have been peeved at the fact that why can Shane McMahon beat The Undertaker? It's not just because The Undertaker's getting old. He's been fine, like, within the last 6 months. So what is this about? But no, The Undertaker wins. They go back and forth. This match was actually the longest match on the card. This match was 30 minutes long of pretty much Shane getting his ass kicked a lot, occasionally fighting back. Shane bolt cutters the cell doors, right? And then The Undertaker slams Shane through the cell doors, like, while he's like, a little bit after. He cut the doors a little bit, right? Like, he was trying to get out, and then all of a sudden Undertaker just slams him through the rest of it, so the rest of the cell breaks, and it falls forward. They spill out to the outside. Shane McMahon gets a hold of, like, a TV monitor that the announcers use, beats the shit out of Undertaker with that, throws The Undertaker up on a table, climbs to the top of the cell. Hold on, let me Google that real quick. Okay, so initially back in the day when they started Hell in the Cell matches, the cell was 16 feet tall, or 4.9 meters if you're not from the U.S., and weighed over 2 tons. They've changed it now. It's now bigger. The cell is currently 20 feet off the ground, and it weighs 5 tons. So Shane climbs to the top of the cell, 20 feet off the ground, while The Undertaker's laying on the floor, on a table that's probably 3-4 foot high up, right? So Shane jumps. He didn't jump. He kind of fell. But for the sake of blowing the story up, Shane jumps from 20 foot in the air down onto the table. Undertaker moves. Undertaker does not get hit by the elbow drop. But Shane fell 20 foot in the air through a table that, like, exploded when he landed on it. It was amazing. Everybody, my whole Twitter timeline, my whole feed was just Shane McMahon is dead. Just Shane McMahon is dead. Shane McMahon is dead. And it was all over that, right? Absolutely nuts. It was insane just to think that a guy would do that. Absolutely phenomenal. Shane gets up. He begs The Undertaker for more. Undertaker tombstones the shit out of him. Match is over, right? Shane didn't have a lot of fight left in him after he pretty much almost killed himself. But it was a good, brutal battle back and forth. I don't think there was any bleeding, which for a Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Shane, I didn't expect. I expected bleeding, especially because they've been bleeding on Raws leading up to this. But they didn't bleed in the main event, or in the actual WrestleMania, which is just, it's weird. It's not like a super complaint for me. It's just strange to see it coming. But it was a good, solid match. It was a good 30-minute match, and it's all worth it. All 30 minutes of that, even if all 30 minutes of it sucked beforehand, according to you, all 30 minutes of building up to that is totally worth watching Shane jump off a cell 20 foot in the air to explode through a table when he landed. That was absolutely phenomenal. And Shane McMahon does his thing again on taking a super bump. Now, a lot of people were upset at the result of this one because why bring up the idea that the Authority can be removed and all this stuff if you're not going to do it? And once again, this ending was trash because the person that they wanted to win didn't win, whereas it might have been too predictable if The Undertaker would have, I don't know. Anyway, I kind of saw this one coming from the point of when they announced that The Undertaker couldn't do WrestleManias anymore, because that's just a weird thing to do. I feel like if they would have put the Undertaker has to retire completely stipulation on it, it would have been more believable to me that maybe Shane McMahon could win, because usually once they start putting those stipulations on guys' careers, the guys don't last much longer. So it would have been more believable for me in that regard. It's also kind of expected. I've had this idea, and nobody said anything either way, but in case you don't know, Shane McMahon still owns his company or companies over in New York or Brooklyn or wherever the hell he owns companies at. He still owns companies in New York. This has always looked to me more like a brief visit to pump up Mania rather than it has Shane coming back to save wrestling. Don't get me wrong, like I said before, I would love if Shane comes back and kicks the Authority out and starts making good matches and good decisions and books better, but that's highly unlikely. And it was all for the sake of story in the first place. By the way, Shane McMahon came back before, and he said Steph and Triple H are running this business into the ground. So now what happens with that? The story around this one was weird too. The story around I can't defend the story on this one too much. All I can tell you is that the match was really great. Looks like the Authority is going to keep running Raw, and that sucks, but it is what it is. So to move on to what we're going to call the popcorn matches coming up here, mainly the match to so the crowd has a minute to calm down from the Undertaker match, from the Shane and Undertaker match that just happened. We have All right, I'll spill the winner. We have Baron Corbin winning the Elimination Giants, Andre the Giant Memorial Elimination match, right? Which is where they usually call in a bunch of big guys and some other guys along with that down to the ring, and then they just have a big battle royal of a bunch of guys, usually consisting of a bunch of jobbers and then a few main people, and then you have a winner out of that. It's just they just bring a bunch of big dudes in and just tell them to go crazy with a battle royal over the top rope elimination match. What was weird about this is they brought in like a slew of guys in the beginning. I guess they didn't have time for entrances, which I understand. This match was 9 minutes, by the way, almost 10. They bring in a slew of guys in the beginning. Like they brought down like Goldust and R-Truth and Baron Corbin and a bunch of other people in the beginning of them, like with no entrance. What the fuck is his name? Oh my god, Look, everyone, it's Tyler. It's Tyler Breeze. They Tyler Breeze, and then they bring them all down with no entrance at all, and then they do an entrance for Mark Henry Kane and the Big Show, which is, I mean, I get Mark Henry Kane and the Big Show are kind of a big deal, but isn't that fucked up? How, like, they're just like, oh, there's all these shitter guys that are going to the ring now, and then there's Mark Henry Kane and the Big Show, who you will respect. And then Baron Corbin ended up winning the whole thing. Baron Corbin looked really good in the match. Tatanka was out there. They had Tatanka and Diamond Dallas Page. And then Shaquille O'Neal showed up. After everybody else got their entrances and they were all in, Shaquille O'Neal showed up. And he's taller than the Big Show. And it was so badass to see a huge guy there. Shaq and Big Show end up getting eliminated right off the bat when the match starts, because everybody throws them out of the ring when they're like having a choking contest. But Kane and... Or was it Big Show? Big Show and Shaq got to double choke slam Kane, and it was really cool. But then the match itself, I mean, it is what it is. People going over the top rope. Diamond Dallas Page was out there. That was awesome. Tatanka could go another year. Tatanka looked great being out there. That was awesome. People getting thrown over the top rope left and right. Social Outcasts looking like they might actually win this. One of the Social Outcasts might win it. Then Baron Corbin and Kane go on this huge spree of throwing everyone out. And then Baron Corbin flips Kane out at the last second right after Kane throws somebody out. Was super cool. Super hyped to see Baron Corbin win that. A lot of people have their doubts about him. A lot of people are up and down. It'll be cool. He's been in NXT for like 4 years now. Like 4 years or something insane like that. So it's time to like either move him up or cut him. You got to do something with this guy. Eventually, he can't be in NXT forever, right? So hopefully they're moving Baron Corbin up after that. It'll be cool to see if he's going to sink or swim once he gets to the main roster. It depends on how they introduce him. Depends on how people perceive him. But hopefully he goes over well. I think Baron Corbin can do some good stuff. We'll see how he goes in the main roster. But let me know what you think about that match in the comment section down below. All right, so this next thing that happened was really weird. The Rock came out because he just comes out at WrestleMania. That's just a thing he does every year, whether people keep asking for it or not. Announced that they broke an attendance record of 110,000 people, something like that. Although I saw posts on Twitter saying that the actual number was only 85,000, but who's to say? People in the stands. The Rock came out with a flamethrower and he lit his name on fire, and the Dallas cheerleaders gave him an entrance, and he came out and he announced that they broke the attendance record, and then they played his music, and I thought he was going to leave. I thought he just came out with a giant entrance to announce that they broke the attendance record and then leave. But before he does that, he says he's going to announce something real big. The Wyatts come out. The Wyatts talk shit. The Rock talks shit. The Rock somehow has a match with Eric Rowan because he still had his ring gear on. Match lasts 6 seconds. New WrestleMania record. The Rock just rock bottom Derek Rowan. It was all over. Looked like The Rock might get beat up. Everybody's sitting there kind of hoping in the back of their mind, because I've seen tweets on this, that the Bullet Club was going to come out, that the Finn Balor and the Bullet Club were going to come out to help save The Rock and start a feud with the Wyatts, because that would have been the most badass thing in the history of the universe, to just have the Bullet Club come out. And then when everybody's hype and they're ready for the Bullet Club to come out and save The Rock, his name is John Cena. Comes out and they beat up the Wyatts and say they're all right. Next match. So we're moving on to the main event. Roman Reigns versus Triple H, and this is the one that's got a lot of controversy because people fucking love booing Roman regardless. This match was a letdown. As a dude who loves Roman Reigns, as a guy who's been waiting for him to start his title reign for so fucking long, this match was a letdown. There are two Roman Reigns we get. If you've been around here before, if you've seen my wrestling videos before, you understand this, you know this road I go down. I like Roman Reigns when they're using him correctly. There are two versions of Roman Reigns we get. Version 1, the one we got tonight at Mania, the shit Roman Reigns, who is just John Cena, but in Roman Reigns form. Like if John Cena crawled into Roman Reigns' body and had different signatures and finishers, this is fucking it. Because that match style, this Roman Reigns' match style, is get the fucking piss kicked out of you. Just get shit whipped the entire match. Just get your ass beat the whole match. Then somehow dig down deep and find a way to win at the end, and I fucking hate it. Or we get the badass Roman Reigns that we've been getting the past couple weeks that I've been hoping we were going to get tonight, who just comes out and beats the shit out of you and then leaves. Just comes out and just steamrolls or brawls. Like, I'm not saying that there's a Roman who kicks everyone's ass and then there's a Roman who gets his ass kicked, even though that's kind of what I'm saying. Because the Roman who kicks everyone's ass still gets beat up a little bit, but he's going to get up and he's going to keep fighting and he's going to keep punching you in the fucking face and he's going to keep doing badass shit. And we didn't get that Roman. We got John Cena Roman, and the match was slow. And after every match being so off the top and crazy and the crowd kind of dying down at this point, the match was super slow, just Triple H just kneeing Roman again and throwing him over here and throwing him over there, and Roman just getting his ass kicked. And then the ending was actually pretty hype. The ending comes up and Stephanie's being a huge bitch and she's fucking with the referee trying to get somebody disqualified because it doesn't matter who gets disqualified. Triple H gets to keep the title, and as she's doing that, Triple H is standing in front of Stephanie, and Roman Reigns goes in for a huge spear on Triple H, and he moves and he spears the shit out of Steph, and I didn't know they could do that anymore, but I guess they're on the network, so it doesn't matter. And the thing that gets me is this. As somebody who likes Roman Reigns, right, I understand why the crowd is booing. I think the crowd's booing is misdirected. It's not mistimed. They need to be booing then, but I think a lot of people boo the shit out of Reigns and hate Reigns when it's not Reigns. Like, there is so much unbelievable potential in Roman Reigns for being a great wrestler. Well, he can't really talk and he's not a technical wrestler. Not everybody's going to be Daniel Bryan, all right? This industry has been completely built on brawlers, and not completely built. This industry has had a lot of fucking brawlers in its day, okay? I don't know if you remember guys like Stone Cold or guys like Vader. Not everybody is going to get in there and be a Bret Hart or be a Chris Benoit, who we can't talk about, or be a Daniel Bryan who's going to go in and do, a million super technical moves. Those guys are great and very needed and super awesome to watch, but I like brawlers. I like Roman Reigns just gets out there and he just beats the shit out of people. And this is what this match was building up that we thought it was going to be, right? Where they're punching each other back and forth and hitting each other with TVs and slamming their face on the table and posting each other and spearing people through the barricade, which was badass. There's a good balance of both. They just need to start using... I understand why people boo Roman when Roman goes full John Cena, because I hate it when Roman goes full John Cena, when they book Roman to go full John Cena, but... a lot of people just cheer Roman because it's Roman, and I don't understand that. And you can tell, like, it's funny because though the main crowd, okay, I've got confirmation from house shows, right? From people who have been to house shows. I've been to a house show or two myself, but a couple people who have been to house shows recently, because I haven't been in a long time. I haven't been to a house show in a while. I went to Raw a couple years back, but I haven't been to a house show in a long while. People who go to house shows, when Roman shows up, people at house shows cheer, like, a lot. Like, there's a huge pop. People like Roman. People go to the TV shows to boo Roman. A lot of them just because they think it's cool, and I still don't fully understand why. But a lot of people just boo Roman for the sake of booing Roman. There were a lot of times in that match that Roman did some cool shit. For example, spearing Triple H through the barricade, where the initial wave is everybody cheers. Everybody in the building cheers. And they're like, oh, hell yeah. And then the smarks who in the back who just boo Roman for the sake of booing Roman, we're not 100% sure why, but for the sake of just booing Roman, because, hey, fuck Roman, it's Roman. Remember that, oh shit, Roman just did the really cool thing. So then when the initial crowd and themselves have died down from cheering Roman's badass spear, then you hear a wave of boos come in, because it's those people realizing, oh my god, that's Roman, I can't cheer him, I have to boo him, even though he did that awesome thing right now. And then they remember, it's like, oh shit, I remembered I gotta boo Roman, so wait a second. So you hear everybody like, oh fuck yeah, that was amazing, wait a second, boo, and it's a smaller crowd booing, but they're loud as fuck. But that happened a lot of times, a few times in the match. Roman spears Stephanie, everybody went crazy. Roman spears Triple H through the table, everybody went crazy. A couple of Superman punches that came out of nowhere. People were all over that, and then you would hear the boo wave afterwards. You can go back and watch the network. It's just funny how how people are. Like, they react to it, and when they initially react, they know that was awesome, and then in their mind, it takes a second, and it clicks like, oh, wait, that's Roman. And then they'll boo the shit out of it again. It's just funny. And then when Roman wins the match, you hear the initial wave of everybody who's there to enjoy wrestling and having a great fucking time and looking at it. You hear the initial wave of wrestling fans in the back, and the fucking roof blows off the place because people were cheering. People were hype as fuck when Roman won. And then once those people's initial cheers of, oh, that's awesome, Roman just won, the match died down, then you hear all the smarks like, wait a minute. Boo! And then the wave of boos came in, and it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh at the end of the day. It really does. I hope to God this is Roman's actual title reign chance. I hope to God I don't see it. I like Roman. He's got a lot of potential with where the crowd is with him right now. I don't see this being anything super awesome unless they make him a monster again, which I doubt they'll do, or unless they make him fight the right people, or unless they make him heel turn. The funny thing is if Roman turns heel, all those same smarks who were booing him are going to cheer the shit out of him, because doing the opposite of what the WWE wants you to cheer for is just the cool thing right now. But if Roman ever turned heel, he would be getting cheered. Like, that man cannot do any right by the smart standards. It just doesn't matter at this point. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. WWE has a really, really good history lately of following pay-per-views with a kick-ass, amazing Monday Night Raw. So we'll have to see how that goes. It's currently 12 a.m., so I guess tonight. We'll have to see how Monday Night Raw goes, but WWE's been really good lately. Usually they put on a shit pay-per-view and follow it with a really good Raw. This pay-per-view was not bad by any means, at least by my standards. I thought this WrestleMania was really good, and hopefully they'll put on a really good Raw afterwards. And if they put on a really good Raw, maybe that means a good direction for Roman Reigns in the future. We'll have to see. Let me know what you guys thought of WrestleMania in the comment section down below. I rambled on way too long. Let me know your thoughts on any of the matches that happened, any of the title exchange, anybody you want to see brought up from NXT, or anything cool that I didn't mention. I think that's going to wrap it up for me tonight, guys. I want to thank you for coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe for more wrestling stuff. I'm Thundershot. I'm out. Peace late, and we will see you.